held in council chambers of City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, February 17, 2015, at 7:25 p.m. I'm going to do a roll call. Councilman Coley.
Present.
Councilman Corbett.
Here.
Councilwoman Eason.
Here.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler.
Present.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Present.
Council President Williams.
Present.
Also present, Ms. Smith, Deputy Municipal Clerk. Dan Smith, City Attorney. Adrian Mapp. Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. Margaret Hamir from the Clerk's Office. Please stand for a moment of silence.
Thank you.
Please be apprised, anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall sign one book. There will be 2 columns in the book, one for agenda items and one for general issues. Each person signing the book will check agenda items or general issues. If they check only agenda items or general issues, they will be allowed to speak for 5 minutes. If they check general issues and agenda items, they will be allowed to speak for 10 minutes. The requirement of NJSA 10:4-9 at SET, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger and published in the Record Transcript on July 17, 2014, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk. We're up to matters for discussion.
We had our bond counsel attorney here. I'm assuming he's on his way in regard to the capital ordinance 4-2015. He has not arrived yet. I'm going to ask the council if he walks in the door, we will reserve and go back and allow him to discuss and take any questions from council members. There was questions that I received in terms to the financing of that 4-2015. Mr. Matt, do you want to speak to what financial, how that 4-2015 will be funded?
Certainly. I am Adrian Mapp, Director of Finance, and I am sitting in for the administration this evening. The $102,000 is coming from what is known as the Capital Improvement Fund. Almost annually, when the budget is put together, there's an amount that is appropriated for the Capital Improvement Fund. It is money that comes from the taxpayers that is set aside and is used primarily for down payments when a bond ordinance is presented to the governing body. Usually when a bond ordinance is presented, you need roughly 5% as a down payment. However, the Capital Improvement Fund can be used to fund directly capital items. So by taking this $102,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund, it simply means that you don't have to borrow money. You're using your own money. And that, in essence, is what this is.
And council members, do you have any questions of Mr. Mapp in terms of the financing of 4-2015?
I do have a question.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler.
My question is this. So, in essence, the Capital Improvement Fund is something separate and apart from what you call the capital budget?
That is correct.
Because the capital budget is something that is not funded, correct? It's just a plan?
That is correct. You're absolutely correct.
And then my other question is, okay, so this money is set aside, it's available, and it's coordinated with the bond ordinance. So that's my question. This particular use of the funds was in the original bond ordinance? Because my recollection was it was Public Works, Fire, and Police that were in the bond ordinance. Am I correct? If my memory is serving me
No,
correctly?
it's citywide.
Oh, okay,
They were
so
probably
it was
the-
recreation as well. That's my
Different
question.
department. There was a community affairs portion. The bigger
The-
senior boss.
But this is not really
No, she's not saying the bond, she said coordinated with the bond and.
The bond
and she
ordinance,
just-
because you're having bond counsel come, correct?
And then her offer, and then the next question was, did the bond ordinance, was it only fire, police, and public works? And the answer is no. It was pretty much citywide, the different departments, Director Matt.
That is correct, because,
Councilwoman
for
Williams,
example, you
just to
had,
make that clearer, it also, this is not really recreation per se, it's just part of redoing
The
Central
field,
Playground. So it's not considered under recreation, it's more under a
Capital.
public works responsibility.
Okay.
Because
All right?
parks falls under public works.
I just wanted to make sure that it was still coordinated and aligned with the bond ordinance.
Mr. Matt?
this is not a bond ordinance, and the source of these funds is not from any bond ordinance. This is an appropriation that is normally in the budget on an annual basis, and the fund accumulates until you begin to spend down from that fund, either using portions of it as a down payment for a bond ordinance, or you can use it directly in a capital ordinance and not have to go out and borrow money. But this has no connection to any previously issued bond ordinance.
That answers my question. And so then my follow-up question is, why is bond counsel coming to present on this,
Because he
if that's the
he
case?
still prepares the document.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just want to understand the relationship. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilman Corbett?
with regards to the capital bond, once if the council decides to vote this up, that means we'll be depleting that fund substantially. So, wasn't there an initial plan to also use that capital bond to repair City Hall, the outside in particular? Do you recall that?
I have no recollection of that. It is my opinion that any work, significant work that is done to City Hall would require a bond ordinance, which is a capital. All bond ordinances are capital ordinances, but all capital ordinances are not bond ordinances.
Say that again?
Yeah, I'm not saying that the park is not important and that area needs to be upgraded. I'm just saying that City Hall also falls in that category, and the facade of City Hall certainly needs to be upgraded.
And that I'm not prepared to speak to that. All I can say to you, I can only explain what this is and the authority to use these funds for this purpose.
Councilman Corbett, as I recall, the front of City Hall came under historic preservation grant. So, Mr. Matt, if you can check the historic preservation grant that was funded for the front of City Hall.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Are there any other questions from Mr. Matt regarding 4-2015? If not, I'm going to move the agenda. Council.
Motion to adjourn.
No.
No, no.
Council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The resolutions and ordinances to be presented at tonight's meeting are listed on the attached regular meeting agenda. If any council member wishes to discuss any resolution or ordinance, it may be discussed at this time.
Council members,
Council President,
Councilman Corbett,
ordinance 13-2015.
13-2015?
Yes.
Sir.
I see that Council Member April Gaunt Butler. It appears on the surface that you are trying to change that 90-day probation period from 90 days to 45 days. What do you think we are going to gain by reducing that 90-day to 45 days?
Well, I will say this, Councilman Corbett, the legislation that is on the agenda tonight, from me is still under review, so I actually might be withdrawing some of them and then amending and resubmitting.
Is this one of those that you're going to withdraw?
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Council members, any other?
I want to,
Councilwoman Eason?
Council, 11-2015. I'm going to withdraw that at the appropriate time for some modifications. But I want to know if the whole council has read it, and I want to need your input. It's the way it's written, and I'm going to ask Attorney Smith and Kevin to get together and put it in a proper format. But I want to just make sure that if you have any feedback, any things that you think is wrong, let's discuss it now so we can incorporate. When it comes back, it can come back in a format that all of us can agree to.
Council President?
Councilman Corbett?
I did, in fact, read your ordinance that you're trying to revise with regards to cats and dogs and animals, I guess, in general. And I just want to go on a record as saying this, and that is, many people like to have 2 dogs. Some people like to have 2 cats. Some people like to have a cat and a dog. Me personally, I like to have the brother and brother, or sister and sister, or father and son, in the dog set. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people having at least 2 animals in their home, whether it's a dog and a cat, or 2 dogs and 2 cats, whatever the case is. I think it gets to be a little bit excessive when people start having 3 and more. And I think it also becomes a health issue. So the way it's crossed out now, it appears on the surface that you...
It's going to be changed to 2.
Okay.
That was just an error.
Thank you.
So one of them, so we could say change to 2, so that's one of them right there?
Yeah, and Attorney Smith had some, and I just want to say for the record why this came about. In my ward right now, we are having a problem with pooper scooping, and some people, and I'm a big proponent. I don't have a problem with people having dogs. I don't care how many they have. But the one thing we have got to legislate, they got to clean up behind their dogs on the street. I don't think it's fair to the neighbors, and I don't think it's fair to the residents when they come out their house and all that they see in front of their door is poop and they don't have a dog. So this is what we're trying to regulate so that, and what we're trying to define here is, if there's a 3-family house, and every resident has 3 dogs, there's 9 in that house. So Attorney Smith and our legislature has to figure out how we legislate so that there's not 9 dogs in one house. And then the other issue that I was thinking about is, if we say one apartment can have 2, and you got 4 apartments, you still got 8 dogs. So we need to figure out legally how we can legislate that so one apartment building is not run over with so many dogs that they can't handle it. And I don't know whether that is, we leave that up to the discretion of the landlord, or have the landlord legislate that so that he is fair and is fair amongst all of his tenants. So you guys think about it. If you have any input, talk to because I don't want it to come on the floor. Everybody has an issue with it. That's why I want you guys to read it. See if you want to make any changes. I'm open to any modifications, but we got to legislate it somehow so that we make people, hold people accountable. If you have a dog, you got to clean up behind it and not have, because one homeowner said to me, I need help. I say, but it's your house. You paid the mortgage. You should be able to decide who's in your house and how many dogs they have, and that they don't have excessive amount. But she's looking for us and a lot of the other residents to figure out some way how we can make that a regulation, and then have the cops go out and issue summons. Our animal control office has been on one of my locations undercover and stood outside in the cold just to see what was going on, and making sure that, because even me, and sometimes I stop my car and I say to the person with a dog, I hope you're pooper scooping, and they'll pull a bag out of their pocket. And when I leave, it doesn't mean they pick up anything, but at least they got a bag. So I just want to make sure that.
And Councilwoman, just for
that
clarity.
if there's any modifications you want to make, I'm open.
And Councilwoman, for clarity, because you mentioned landlords, but you're just saying for households across the
So
board.
that's what we would define. What's a household, and what's a apartment dwelling, and what's a house, and how we modify and make sure that it's equal amongst all of the residents and all of the tenants. But somehow or another, we got to clean up what's happening out there.
Council President, may I? comment on this?
Yes, you can.
Councilwoman Easton, I did read this, and I'm not a pet owner myself per se, but this is a very complex issue with going citywide with something. The discussion probably should have happened before this document was even kicked into gear.
That's why I'm pulling it tonight so we can have that
Yeah,
discussion.
because this is very complex. Because people, you're going to grandfather people with multiple pets already.
Well,
it's-
no one, according to should have more than 2 dogs in an apartment itself. Was it 3 before?
Yeah.
So no one should have more than 3 today. But we will grandfather the ones that have that ones, and I guess the 2 of them would decide how we do that, and then moving forward, no more than 2.
I'll be glad to be part of the debate.
Discussion.
Council
Not a
President,
discussion.
Council President.
Councilman Corbett.
Also, Councilwoman Eason, my neighbor has 2 dogs, and he would be grandfathered if we were to vote this up in whatever form it's written. But I have a neighbor also that has 4 dogs in his backyard, and I don't think that should be grandfathered. That should be changed if there's something like this is passed. That's just too many. I mean,
That's
and
why I said-
dogs barking, all that has to change.
And that's why we're trying to legislate. I don't want anybody to be selfish and think about only themselves. You got to think about the people around you. If I had 3 dogs and this kid, then I get rid of one, or find some way to have the other one adopted or something. But I mean, we all got to think about. I know we have some personal things, and everybody loves pets. I love pets too. My sister has a little dog downstairs, and he's the most annoying thing because he barks at everybody that comes in the house, and he's the baddest thing walking, and he's this big. I mean, you could blow him over, but we all love him. So I'm saying is, I don't want people to be selfish about this. I want you to think about your neighbors, the health issue, what it's doing to our neighborhoods, and how it looks to a person when they're walking to the bus stop or to the train station, and all they see is poop all along the way. I mean, so.
And Councilman,
That's
the real spirit or the major concern is that the lack of people maintaining the sidewalks and cleaning up the city.
And then people complaining that they can't sleep because it's dogs stomping over their head all night.
Okay.
All right?
Council members, are there any other resolutions or ordinances that you would like to discuss?
Yes, number 49, 2015.
Resolution 49-2015.
Contract awarding auto parts for 1 year for $150,000. I believe that we have a contract with Select Towing for
So for 150, you said 49?
yeah,
150.
49, 2015.
For 150,000.
Right.
Okay.
To my understanding, we have a contract with Select Towing for our auto repair. Why are we going into a contract with this company for auto parts?
Mr. Mobley, can you address this question?
But they don't house parts.
Oh, Mr.
No, but they
Okay,
get the-
Mr. Mobley, let Mr. Mobley.
Contract to get them.
I'm sorry, because I'm just not you. I was talking to.
Good evening, Chris Mobley. My understanding is that we're going out for this. This particular contract award is for a 1 year period for the repair of the vehicles, for the parts. It may be that the contract that you're talking about is maybe just for repair, but in this case, this is just for parts for all of the vehicles. But we could certainly take a look at that.
So, so just so that I'm clear, I guess when a vehicle is in need of repair, it will go to Select Towing, they will assess it, and then they will call this company for the part, and then the part will be delivered?
That's correct. That sounds correct.
Well, that's not how it's been working, but that's
Okay.
just how it's going. That's not how it's been working. But
So you know it to be not working in that. Do you want to have a conversation with Mr. Mobley? Just a second, council members. Ms. Knight, did you want to come clarify? You gonna go to? You can come. And just say your name. You know.
Takesha Knight, Finance Department. We have been contracted with Smith Boring. Is this the one, Smith Boring?
Right.
We are currently under contract. Public Works goes out to bid, and they've won the contract, I would say, for at least the last 2 years. So it's a continuing contract. It goes out for bid, and they are for parts.
Is that mic working?
No.
I don't hear any mic. That's all.
No, it's not.
I didn't hear you.
Because I can't hear. I'm sitting right here. I can't hear you.
You can't hear who?
Well, can you hear me?
You guys talk. I don't hear it
Mic
coming
check.
through the mic. I hear it because I'm sitting right here.
I can hear it through here.
You can hear it.
You heard it through the mic? Through your, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can speak louder. Smith Boring, it goes out for bid. Oh, sorry. Smith Boring goes out for bid, and the parts, auto pods, go out for bids, and I believe that Smith Boring has won the contract at least for the last 2 years.
Thank you.
All right.
Give the biggest discount.
Are there any other questions, council members?
I have just one.
Just talk loud.
53 2015.
53, 2015. The bill list?
The bill list.
Yes. And can you state the page of,
It's on multiple pages.
So-
On page 6,
is the first page, okay.
and it's all under Smith Boring.
So this
Page
is-
8,
So page 6 through with all the parts that,
yeah, page.
well, let's do one at a time. So you're talking about the first one
I'm
that's
only talking about one
19,000?
item that appears on all these pages.
So,
I'm just saying, page 8 and page 9. No, make that page 11. Under the Smith Boring, there is a total charges of $1,116.95, and it's listed for a Volkswagen Passat GLS 2001. And I've looked at this list that Director Mays has given us as the updated list for vehicles that are under the jurisdiction of the municipality. And I've looked, and I've looked, and I've looked, and I can't find this Passat on this list to save my soul.
so can you go to page 6 and just, where is it on page 6?
Scroll down,
Uh-huh.
It's on page 9, so.
under the description, and it says Volkswagen Passat GLS 2001. This kind of jumps out at you that we're paying for a 2001 vehicle even after the auction. That car doesn't appear on this list.
So, let me see it on page 6?
It's we're being invoiced for $1,100, and it's got to this point where somebody's trying to pay it.
And what's the amount on page 6?
Find it for you.
Or if you look at the left-hand column, 36, 37,
You said page 6, right?
yeah.
Page 6.
Look at the page left.
$216.62.
216. Oh, at the top, 216.62.
Page 8.
That's a Ford Taurus.
That's a 4.
And I think that continues.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. The Passat starts on page 8. Sorry about that.
So page 8.
Page 8.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And what's the amount on page 8?
2672. All right.
Okay, got
The
you.
next,
Right.
the next page.
And so it's number 91. Okay, let's see. So that's so it's base number
number-
91 on page 8, 2672. For
Page 9.
but it's the same
Volkswagen
one. So
Passat, yeah.
and you want to know is that
Yeah,
city
I totaled it up. It came to $1,100 worth of car repairs on a car that doesn't belong to the city. Somebody tell me something.
Mr. Matt, do you can we do you know that car? Are you aware? No. Okay.
I'm not familiar with the cars that are owned by the city, but what we can do is certainly check this ID against the inventory of vehicles that are owned by the city. So I wouldn't be quick to jump to the conclusion that the city doesn't own this vehicle.
Okay, so we'll just have to do the research.
Council President, may I speak? If the invoices are being passed by the DPW to get paid, DPW is not checking it. They publish this list of all the vehicles. If accounting's not checking the invoices versus what the, or if there's mass fraud going on, who's watching who?
And Mr. Mays gave you the updated list?
It's right here.
The updated, okay.
The car's not on there.
Just a second, Councilman, everybody, just a second, Councilwoman Eason.
There's no one from the police department here?
Yep. No?
Police, oh, I can't think of.
Is there anyone from the police department here?
Yes. Oh, this might have been, are you,
Police or fire?
Because it also says that the windows were tinted. So what car?
From the Orange Police
I
Department.
didn't, can you speak
guys
loud?
have that in your
Just
fleet?
a second, Councilwoman Eason, I'm sorry.
No, I was
Can't-
listening to the
Wait,
vehicle.
just a
Oh, yeah, sure.
because you couldn't hear when you identified yourself.
Okay, Captain Dunn from the Orange Police Department.
And
Yeah, I
Captain-
heard the vehicle in question. I can't answer the question. I don't know.
You don't,
if
you're
it
not
is or
familiar
not.
with a Volkswagen Passat and the police department?
I'm not. It's
Okay.
not to say that we haven't seized one.
Right.
It's just I'm not familiar with it.
And
Well, it
so,
doesn't say C, it say you tinted the windows.
I can't answer that question.
so let
Council
me,
President?
I'm getting ready to ask, so there's, cars could, can come in through seizure and then we'll maintain them?
Yeah, a lot of times and on a lot of cars that we do confiscate that come into seizure, we end up using those vehicles as undercover vehicles later on. So that's an undercover vehicle. It's not anymore. So, that's
Another
it.
undercover broke. Mr. Matt?
Council President, the administration will check on the identity of this vehicle and we will report back to you with the specifics.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Yeah, other questions on the bill?
I just have a follow-up question. Will somebody get prosecuted for trying to put through invoices
Well,
that don't belong on this list here?
well, here's the, and I think what we heard Captain Dunn say without saying a lot, let the administration do the research, and let, Mr. Mapp get back to you, because if it came in the way and it's being used, let's just give the opportunity for
Okay.
administration to respond.
If the police have it and it's not on their list of automobiles on this list, it's just undercover. It's not even on the list that says for the police. And they have 2 pages of automobiles. So
All right.
it's undercover.
Page 8 and page 9.
There are several, there's, on page 9, I see that it's number 99 and 100. Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. Councilman, are there any other questions?
Yes.
Councilman Coley?
I believe it's. Let me find it here. Page 16, Alamo Insurance Group, what do they do for us?
Mr. Mack?
The Alamo Insurance Group is the broker that was awarded the contract by the governing body sometime in 2014 for insurance purposes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Matt. And page 17, workman's comp insurance. I see that either the care station, they bill us differently for female officers and male officers. Is there any reason why that is, Mr. Matt?
I honestly do not know the answer.
Is there any way you can just ask and find out why they bill us differently?
We can try to determine that, but
Okay.
it could be any number of reasons.
Yep. And we will have one more on page 29, I believe it is. The top of page 29, we have business administration, and then we have admin, and then we have the mayor's office for salaries. Mr. Mapp, I have a couple of questions for you too. The top of page 29, this is the bill list for the first pay period in January of this year.
I can tell you that there are 2 pay periods that are on this bill list, the 2 pays that were in January.
Well, the one I'm talking about is it says the range of check dates for January 9, 2015 to January 9, 2015. That's the list that I'm referring to.
That's the pay date of January 9th. There are 2 pays. The first was January 9th. The second pay was 2 weeks later.
Okay, but I'm referring to January 9 pay period. Can you please explain the difference to me between the business administrator's office, the administration office, and the mayor's office?
The business administrator's office is simply that, the office of the business administrator. Business administration are a number of administrative functions that are placed within a separate department, separate and apart from the department of the business administrator. And the mayor's office is simply that, the office of the mayor.
Thank you. And who's currently in the administration office? Do you know?
I don't have that information off the top.
Okay. All right. And I just have a few other questions. Our payroll company, what payroll company are we currently using?
We're using Balance Point.
Balance Point. Okay. And are there procedures in place to pay the City of Orange employees through the payroll company?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And my next question is, who created those procedures?
They would have been created in the finance department.
And who's in charge of the finance department?
The finance department is headed by the director of finance.
And that is you, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And can you please explain to me these procedures when an employee is paid?
Employees are paid on a bi-weekly basis. Employees, their department supervisors have to sign off on the timesheets that are submitted. And in this case, we don't use the paper timesheets anymore because we use the clocks. But the procedure is that the head of the department authorizes the time for the employees within that department. The information is submitted to the payroll through the biometric system, and payroll gets processed.
Okay, thank you. And besides you, Mr. Matt, who else in your office or in the administration can authorize the payroll company to make payments to the City of Orange employees?
Repeat that, please.
Besides you, who else in your office or the administration can authorize the payroll company to make payments to City of Orange employees?
The payroll company is authorized to make payments to every employee whose name has been submitted as a part of that payroll ending period.
No, you didn't answer my question. I said, who can authorize the payroll company to make payments besides you?
The authorization was granted when we procured the services of the payroll company.
What employee in your office?
We don't do that on a biweekly basis. We have a payroll person who processes the payroll, and that is the contact between the City of Orange and the payroll company, our payroll person.
And that would be the one person?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so your payroll person, whomever that is a person that is authorized to make, who's authorized the payroll company to make payments to employees.
The payroll person transmits and communicates with the payroll company. All of the names that are in the system for that payroll period, the payroll company pays. There's no signing off that the payroll person has to do on each individual person. As long as timesheets are processed through the system, the information is transmitted to the payroll company pays all of those employees.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Matt.
Councilmember, are there any other questions about resolutions and ordinances? If not, I'm going to make a, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Neeson, second by Councilwoman Vaughn Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I know we want to keep moving, but we do have to take a 5-minute break because they have to adjust the sound. So we could take 8:05. We please.
8:05. Setting it right now.
Ms. Easton and Councilwoman Butler.
It's the loudest ring you can get.
So we will be pausing for 5 minutes before we go into the regular meeting.
Okay. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in the council chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, February 17th, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Aye.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do a roll call. Councilman Coley,
Present.
Councilman Corbett,
Here.
Councilwoman Easton,
Here.
Councilwoman Vaughn Butler, Councilman Harold Johnson,
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Present.
Council President Williams.
Present.
Also present, Ms. Smith, Deputy Municipal Clerk, Adrian Mapp, Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer, Margaret Hamir from the Clerk's Office. The requirement of NJSA 10:4-9, Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger and published in the record transcript on July 17, 2014. Posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk. There are no minutes for approval. Under reports, we have the City Clerk's Office for the month of January 2015, $348.20. The Department of Community Services for the month of January 2015, $20,146. Department of Planning and Economic Development for the month of December 2014. I'm assuming, for the month of December 2014, $46,840. From the Department of Planning and Economic Development for the month of January 2015, $44,042. For OPA requests for January 2015, we had 33 OPA received, 92 items completed, 1 OPA with 4 pending items remaining. Under council reports.
We have a report from the police department, from the police.
I hope I'm in order with this, Council President. I mean, I don't have anything directly, but I can say that I have been in contact with Director Sims, and with regards to the Volkswagen Passat that's on the bill list, it is a vehicle that's owned within the Orange Police Department, and that's the only information that's available on it.
Okay. And we'll get, and at a later time, can you give clarification offline as to what you can say and what you can't say? Okay. And why is it not on the vehicle report?
Councilwoman Williams, and just to piggyback on what he says, as it relates to the police department and their cars, the request has been made that we not talk about their cars in a council meeting, but in an open forum. If you have any questions, we need to vet them before, because there's so many things going on out in the police department that is confidential and classified. and they want to make sure that we don't, as a council, tar the integrity of what they're trying to do. So they're requesting that in the future, if we have any questions about any of their cars, that we do it offline.
Trying to do offline for about half an hour. Fire department, I'm sorry, Councilman Corbin, were you?
That's it, thank you.
Fire department? No, nothing? Anything from the Public Works Committee? Mrs. Gordon, do you want to? And I know you have a meeting coming up.
I was not notified that I am going to.
No, just I think.
But
yeah.
there are a number of issues that we are discussing. Snow plans are foremost right now. I'm happy to hear that we are going to have a special subcommittee that concentrates on this, and people, departments that will be involved, the police department and the public works department's person who is actually in charge of the practical things is going to be there, and so that looks good. But for my taste, it came, this is the second part of February. It is a little bit on the late start. That's one. We are working on some kind of a ordinance to change the city's approach to abandoned buildings, make it very costly for owners, banks, whoever owns those buildings, to simply leave it open and wait until they completely deteriorate. That's an eyesore to Orange. That's a financial issue, and it is an issue also of the city's future. Who wants to come to this city with all this happening? So that's one issue. We are also. I am okay. We have been discussing the hiring of a mechanic. We realize that millions are invested now into new vehicles, and we think that without having a full-time mechanic available, these vehicles will be in no time in as bad a condition as the ones that they are replacing. So I am not sure what the procedure will be. We discussed that. It seems like it is just the Public Works requesting this, and it hasn't happened. Basically, 1/6 of the year has gone, so something has to be. This has to be reviewed and taken care of. That's what I can come up with.
Okay, thank you. And also, you have a meeting coming up, I believe, right?
And the meeting coming up is on Thursday, this coming Thursday evening at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Councilman, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. Director Douglas?
Kenneth Douglas, Acting Fire Director. The cause of this winter have been, it's been very cold. We've been getting several complaints from citizens that space heaters are being used within some of the apartments and some of our elder facilities. So because of these complaints and how important they are, myself along with my fire prevention staff have been visiting some of these facilities just to stress the importance of the dangers of space heaters with some of our seniors in some of the buildings. We made some progress, did several fire prevention presentations, and I think the word is getting out, and I still have some more to go throughout the city, but I've already hit 3 facilities already.
And while you're there, also the pipes, dripping water, you know, I think there's a standard that you have to deal with the coldness in the pipes freezing. Have you had a lot of calls with pipes freezing and bursting? No?
Funny you said that. Today and yesterday, especially today, we have 3 calls dealing with frozen pipes.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the frozen pipes when they're copper is that when they freeze up real bad, it splits the copper. Then when they thaw out, it leaks throughout the entire house, and you don't even know it until you start seeing it hissing or just a pile of water. The unfortunate part is that some of these pipes are behind the walls. That walls have to be opened up, of course, and the pipes have to be replaced. So just stress to the homeowners. Sometimes you may need to get some wrapping that goes on these pipes, or use a hairdryer. If you know there's no water coming out the pipes, use a hairdryer trying to get the ice out the pipe to get the water flowing again, but keep the valve open just in case it does thaw out. The pressure won't build up in the pipe to bust it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Eason.
While he's there, you want to talk about of course, the last couple of fires, as we talked with my senior builder today about the candles and the incense.
Yes.
Romantic.
And how, and I was going to bring that up in my council comments, but since he's there, he can elaborate on how we can educate the public and the residents on not to burn candles and incense, because when they fall over, that's the last. You can expound.
Yes, I expand on 2 situations that we have. One was unattended cooking. Individual, I believe, on Lincoln Avenue, and actually the superintendent of the building left a pot on the stove to mediate a situation in the parking lot. When he comes back to his apartment, of course, the apartment is on fire now. It's a kitchen fire. A grease fire had began. That was one situation. The second one was recently on Valley Street. This individual left an incense burning next to their bed. The unfortunate part is that the incense was burning next to combustibles, the curtains was near the bed, and plus the bedding itself. Again, the person left the room, came back, the bed and the contents were on fire. In the time that we are in right now, being very cold, of course an incense is not something that'll keep you warm, but it's still very hot at the tip, that just that radiant heat can catch on some of these items that are highly flammable, combustible, and plastic-based polyester and cotton. It catches on pretty easily, and next thing you know, your apartment is on fire. Try to stress the importance of these things, along with heaters. When you have a heater next to a bedding or something combustible, the heaters that pretty much has the red lines in front of it, I guess, they generate more heat in the front, and that's too close to a bed. It also can catch fire. I know people are trying to stay warm, but it's better to be safe, and get another type of heating element, to heat your room, opposed to that particular one. I gave out some pamphlets over at 102 Wilson, just stressing the type heaters. If you're going to use one, use the hot air-based one, opposed to the radiant heat with the heater coils through electricity. Those are much safer.
Councilwoman Johnson.
I have a question. Prior to me becoming a councilwoman, I remember Councilwoman Eason talking about the sticks that let you know where the hydrants are, like other towns have, especially with snow. Like, whose responsibility is it to clear the snow off of the hydrants?
We are responsible. I had my guys go out during the last snowstorm to do that, because we use the hydrants. Okay. So I actually have a meeting with United Water. Okay. So for this year, we're going to start the hydrant inspections. Okay. I need my guys to know exactly where your hydrants are, which one's working, which one don't. If I depend on United Water, my guys wouldn't know what hydrants work once they go to a fire. Right. So with that being said, that stick you're talking about, it sticks up. It illuminates off light. So I guess if you have a fire at nighttime, you can see it. While you're on it, it's about maybe a couple of feet above the hydrant itself.
Do you know if we'll ever get anything like that, or if that's in the works? Or?
I can talk to United Water and see what Public Works have to do, but there are hydrants, but we just use them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember that.
Thank you, Director Douglas. Don't leave, we probably have more questions for you.
No problem, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Housing Authority,
No report.
Library,
I have no report, but they are having a public meeting this Thursday at 6:30 in the auditorium, and I will be there. And I'm sorry?
you have the flyer for the event on February 21st as well?
No, I don't have that.
Okay.
Okay, so Thursday, 6:30 in the auditorium. It is a public meeting, and it was published, I think, in the Star Ledger on February 10th. So I just wanted to announce it again.
It's not the trustee meeting, just a public meeting?
It's a public meeting where questions can be asked and things like that.
Planning?
No, no,
No. ABC?
no.
Personnel Committee, there's no report at this time. The clerk's office floated that their ad went out today, and for the municipal clerk's position, and I believe that's it. And finance, there is none at this time. Clerk, you ready on the agenda?
There are no communications or petitions. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing...
Wait, before we go, I'm sorry. Now, before we go into the citizens' comments, I'm going to do, if the council will allow, I just want our attorney, our bond attorney, Mr. Johnson, can you come to the mic real quick?
Also,
Vote.
could you introduce Ike
I am.
Jenkins?
Mr. Johnson, 4-2015, we had a great discussion, you weren't here, and most of the questions were finance regarding 4-2015. Mr. Matt was able to answer all of those questions in terms of, and he even answered the portion of how it was funded. So I don't know, council member, are there any questions that they would have for the bond attorney? If not, we can allow him to leave. There are no questions for the bond attorney? Okay, thank you. Did you want to say anything? No, you'd like to say nothing. Okay. Go ahead. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to also have from the county, and just so citizens will know who to address questions. As we know, Mr. Garrett is moving on to be a boat captain in St. Lucia. So, Mr. Garrett, he is a boat. He is fond of boats and has his own boat and boating license. So I don't know what he's going to do in retirement, but he's going to introduce our new liaison, and he must have been getting calls because we want to make sure we don't call him after the night.
Ken Garrett, former liaison from Essex County. I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce Ike Jenkins. Oh. Ike Jenkins, in his day life, he's the county risk manager. And his new assignment is now the liaison to the City of Orange. And it's my pleasure just to introduce Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good evening, Madam President, Council. As stated, my name is Ike Jenkins, and I am the risk manager for the County of Essex. But more importantly, I'm the newly assigned Essex County liaison to the municipality of Orange. I'm very happy to be here tonight, looking forward to working with all of you and all of those who are looking to better Orange, New Jersey. County Executive Joe D takes this program very seriously and holds us accountable, us liaisons accountable for the support that we provide. I know that I have huge shoes to fill with Ken Garrett. I've been told that 1,000 times just in the last hour. So I'm looking forward to doing it. I think I'm up to it. I've already worked with Marty Mays on a couple of issues that affect the county roads. So I think I'm off to a good start. I do have a couple of issues to share. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to share it. Okay. One is the county, the Essex County Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action is hosting a training session entitled Construction Management Best Practice The session is scheduled for March 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at McClune's Boathouse in West Orange. The program is free, but registration is required and space is limited. I have a flyer here that I can leave out in the.
You can leave it with the clerk.
Okay, great.
You have several or just one?
I have 8.
Okay, so if you leave one with the clerk, and then you have to sit the rest on the
Okay.
table.
All right. The second issue is Turtleback Zoo is holding a job fair on March 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. regarding seasonal positions in all departments in the zoo. I have a flyer as well, but you can also see the website at www.turtlebackzoo.com for more details. And lastly, the county or the State of the County address will take place on Monday, February 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Essex County Hospital Center in Cedar Grove. The mayor and the city council are invited to attend. Okay. Barring no questions, I look forward to working with you, and thank you for allowing me to
Do you have a
present
business
some.
card?
I do.
Okay, and if you can give them to Councilman Coley, he'll pass them around.
Okay.
And
All right. Great.
10 so everybody can eat.
Great. I have some more there. I'll just.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments.
Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressed in the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name in an audible tone for the record, and unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 10 minutes. The public is also expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
Thank you. William R. Lewis.
Thank you very much, Council President, members of the Orange City Council. My name is William R. Lewis. I live at 688 Mosswood Avenue. Just to correct an error I made when I last spoke to you. I'm a graduate of the New Jersey JC's President's School, and one of the things they caution you about is starting to name people because you may forget somebody. So just to add to the list of names I gave you for reference purposes, I had Judge Thomas Vina, who also happened to be Assistant City Attorney here in Orange, and Attorney Melvin Randall, who's the Board Ed Attorney, and Patricia Rivera, who's with the Prosecutor's Office and also served us temporarily as LRO. Once again, there's a challenge to the council. You may be comfortable and think that you're just rolling right along, but there's always something else. And I happen to have the privilege of being the father of Crime Watch. At the time that the Crime Watch was getting started, the organization with Don Wachter, I was organizing the Hayward Area Neighborhood Association, and we just found out we had mutual concerns. And so, in fact, I wound up writing the criteria for membership in Crime Watch with Director Wachter, later Director Wachter, then Officer Wachter. Also found it with my friend Ray Story I talk about, Orange Middle School PTA. And with the members of that organization, we managed to elect officers and pass the bylaws and constitution well ahead of schedule. The state was greatly enamored of it. They asked me to write it up, and I was busy. I was working at the time, didn't have time to write it up. So Orange has a lot of firsts out there. Again, I want to ask you, for record purposes, population of college graduates in Newark is 8%. In East Orange, it's 14%. And in Orange, it's 18%. And I continually see references to East Orange and other communities except Orange. I'm wondering what happened. Why doesn't anybody call on people in Orange? Many of whom I've told you are very prominent and they're very talented folks. And for instance, on the ordinance on the procedure on committees, came from East Orange. no one uses East Orange as an example because they're the only municipality in this state that has that form of government. They're a non-Faulkner Act group, and they're completely different. And they don't mix. Furthermore, they were taken over by the state for quite a while. And so why would you look there for? I mean, I was taught to look for successful people and follow them. But moving right along, just made some notes here on the agenda items. And, so bear with me for a minute. On Ordinance 8-2015, the talks about preparing the agenda, et cetera, the role of the city clerk, and it lays out what the process is. And the fact is that you have not been adhering to it, and therefore you get into trouble because people go around the loop and don't do things the way they're supposed to do them, and you get stuff up here late, and a vote is taken to say whether or not you accept it. First of all, you don't have to accept it just because they present it. Okay, so you've got some thought that has to go into this. Stuff isn't, in the book anyplace. In fact, the difference between a professional employee and a non-professional employee is the fact that the non-professional employee needs a lot of direction and a lot of guidance. So you're in an area where you got to, freewheel a little bit and make up some things on the way. Again, on Ordinance 9, this 2015, this includes, for your edification, the appointments that the county council has. And I mentioned that before because you got into trouble in that direction, but you need to, look at that. So that shouldn't be news to you, but it should be. If you didn't look at it before, now it's presented to you. And then on Ordinance 10, there's 2015, paragraph E, the RMA, Registered Municipal Auditor, does a post audit, and that's when you looks to see is the city following the procedures that are set up and the practices that are set up, and out of that comes the audit report. Why is that important? Well, it's important because, again, I come back to the budget. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you are the boss of the auditor, let me use a shorthand for him, then why aren't those dollars in the clerk's office where they properly belong? So you need to clean up your act on that. And on Ordinance 12, back to committees again. The purpose of this meeting is for the business of the city, not for committees. So, again, you're looking to cut the shave time off. It doesn't belong in here. And if you ran a parliamentary organization and had experience with it, you would know how to do that. Essentially, just a heads up on it. What they should be reporting about, if anything, is anything that's on the agenda that's up for a vote. Otherwise, you're doing administrative work and not legislative work. And you got to put things in order. Who do you hold accountable? The chairman of the committee or not? And but anyway, that's enough for now. And I wish you good well and Godspeed.
Jeffrey Feld.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman and attorney whose local business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, I have posted various heads-up questions and comments on www.nj.com, the city's public website. This year is interesting. It's the 800th anniversary of the signing of the Magna Carta. My parents were in Europe. My family, relatives, I don't know how many generations were in Europe. I think almost everyone's here had no relatives that were in this country at the time. But the Magna Carta is very important because it stands for the doctrine that no one is above the law. And that's very important to remember for what's going on. Regarding non-agendas, questions about Oprah non-compliance. One of the things I'm still waiting for is a list of all outstanding litigation against the city. It is outrageous that the city's attorney's office cannot produce an updated quarterly report. In the past, I've always received a quarterly up report, so does the council. How are we supposed to figure out what is our potential outstanding liabilities when we're going into the budget system? In addition, there's been no discussion of an email that was sent to every council member here between the city finance director and the city clerk. That needs to be investigated, what's going on. There's been no discussion about that tonight. Also, I wish Mr. Mays was here. He could answer a question regarding Oakwood Towers about an executive summary that was produced to me pursuant to Oprah, but it doesn't appear to have been produced to this council when you considered the resolution regarding that. The budget process. Has the council received the proposed budget? Because pursuant to a local finance notice that was issued by the state on December 11th, the Warren administration was supposed to transmit the budget to you by today. Have you received it? The public needs to know. Also, it looks like the Warren administration is not seeking transitional aid because affirmative act has to be taken by tomorrow. Also, where is the annual debt statement that was due at the end of January? What's the status of the financial statement that's due on February 15th? I mean, our CFO is not here. She's responsible, but it's through the finance department. These are important financial documents that we need for the budget process. Former councilperson Lewis referred to Judge Vina. He issued an opinion that was posted on the state's website. He smacked Maplewood. In particular, he smacked the local governing body of Maplewood. Read the opinion. He says if there's statutes, you need to comply with the statute. If there's notice requirements that are required by statutes, you need to follow them. If you don't follow them, bid processes and other things will be invalidated. This is Judge Vina. Also, there's been no discussion. About a week ago, and I'm surprised former Councilman Lewis did not discuss, he received in the mail a demand notice from the state for about $500,000. The first question you get to, it was issued in January of this year for 2015 for an obligation that accrues from 2011. The notice, which was provided to the council, was addressed to our former finance Jack Kelly. Jack Kelly hasn't been employed with the city since March 1st, 2011. I mean, I've been in contact with our auditor just to give him notice to find out what is this. Is there an obligation here? I mean, I'm getting concerned that we're getting notices sent by the state. They're addressed to Jack Kelly. Someone in City Hall goes, Jack Kelly's not here, taking the notice and putting it in the garbage. The real question is, how come that no one has notified the state who our current finance director is? Because this ties into obligations that keep on appearing out of the blue. I mean, no one knows what that $500,000 represents. If it's P&I, is it a penalty and interest? Again, why are taxpayers being punished for someone else's mistake? Because that's who's going to have to pay that $500,000. It goes back to the $1.2 million that we owe to the contractor. There's letters that have been produced. People in this building, one of them is sitting in this room, received letters in 2013. How come it wasn't notified to the auditor that that liability was in our audit? This is the problem. We're now getting lawyers. In the last few bill lists, we're paying bills from 2011, 2012. Bills are sitting in desks. It's not the auditor's job to go find obligations that are not produced to them. This is the problem that we always have in the bill list and in the budget process, that obligations that no one knows about finally suddenly appear and we have to pay for it. And we need to cure this problem. This ties into some of the discussions I praised some of the council members for how you're prying before during your conference meeting. One of the questions we still have is, we had this discussion about the payroll person. Does this person have a name? We never went around it. We're all going around. There's a person in City Hall who's responsible for the payroll. But who is that person? This is where it gets oily, and this is where it gets offensive to the council members and to the audience. In addition, we're talking about the bond, the $100,000 that we're going to do for the capital improvement. But the issue that we had, and I discussed it with our bond counsel, and he said he was going to address it, is do we have $100,000 left over from last year? As of December 31st, 2014, was there $100,000 in an account? Or are we going to get this $100,000 because we're going to appropriate monies in the calendar year 2015 budget to fund that? That question has not been answered. I think we need to know where that money is. Is it money that's sitting in a funded account at the end of last year? Or is it going to be new monies that are going to have to be appropriated in the budget, that this phantom budget that we're going to find out next, hopefully, 30 days where it comes from? As other items on tonight's bill list, we were talking about salary and wages, and we had this discussion. We only talked about January. Didn't we pay a payroll cycle in February? How come it's not there? How does it tie into the amounts that we appropriated? What are the percentages to date? This is information that fiduciaries need to know. There's an issue, it goes back to like petitions and communications. I've submitted to the council a proposed resolution to go petition a trial court judge in Essex County to commence an investigation into the financial affairs of the city, because there's a statute that allows it. But if you look at the minutes in the communication historical record, there's no reference to that. Because since the first of this year, I've submitted at least 4 proposed resolutions. And I think there should be a historical record that the public is providing you either petitions or proposed resolutions that they're being given to you. It's up to you, your prerogative, to say, yeah, we're not going to consider it, but there should be a historical record that it's been submitted. Also, because in that resolution I was talking about, if you look at the December financial report, there was a lot of line items that no monies have been expended. And some of them we know cannot be true because lawyers got paid. How come there's no numbers that we have no reporting as to those like 4 or 5 line items? As to the retention of your outside budget consultant, I say no. Was an RFP issued? There's serious issues that I and many others have regarding Mr. Lurch's services to this community in the last few years. He didn't pick up some liabilities. He never mentioned it. There's still an issue as to the rescission and reintroduction of last year's calendar year budget. Because if you look at the records in front of the local finance board, the former directors sort of said, I don't think they told me really what was going on. And is this the person that we really want to lead us through these times? Did we get submissions from any other people? Did we advertise it? Or we just said, it's our prerogative, he's been doing it, let's just continue where we're going with him? I just say no. There's also I say no. I talked about the capital bond issue. As to the auto parts, historically, $150,000 is a lot of money for automotive parts. In calendar year 2013, 2014, what did we pay? Are we in that range? I don't know the answer. But we should know, if they say they've been supplying it, have we spent every year that amount in parts? That's really it. But the key is try to keep the public advised of where we are in the budget process. Has the budget been not introduced but presented to you for your consideration yet? Because under the state notice, it's a deadline. They missed it again. Find out, explain to us where the funding is for the capital bond ordinances, and keep an eye on Oprah. There's too many things not being said and told to us, or we're getting into trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feld. Ike Jenkins. Got more to say?
Yes, hi. Ike Jenkins, County of Essex. I've already given my report, so I don't have anything else to present.
And what's allowed?
I'm sorry?
He doesn't have anything else to.
You don't have anything?
I don't have anything else to present other than the 3 items I presented earlier.
And I would just ask you to stay around for council comments, just in case there are any council comments.
Okay.
And I'm sure Mr. Garrett told you that we're generally finished by 9:30.
Yeah, right.
All right. Caitlin Gordon.
Kathleen Gordon, 211 Park Place. Mr. Feld and actually the council also touched upon this Resolution 49, 2015, the auto parts contract. I just want to add two questions to it. And I want to bring it in connection with what I mentioned for the Public Works Committee, that we think that the city should and the council should approve having a mechanic, because we have paid by now so much money to get a new perfect fleet of cars that there is no question that having a person to take care of them is a minor investment compared to what we are paying. But in connection to these auto parts, according to Ms. Knight, it has been this company who appraised what is needed. Now, I want to know if are we going to have a mechanic, and if we do, then it is the mechanic's job to figure out how much and how little. Additionally, because we have so much of a new fleet, obviously, we are not going to have the need of as much auto parts as if we had 20-year-old cars and trucks that constantly needed auto parts. So I want you to take a close look at that and respond to us. That is one. United Water has been mentioned here. And I see that Mr. Mobley is here, so I want to bring up this question that I want you to recall that United Water was temporarily rehired or kept for 1 year. I am not keeping track of whether this year has gone or still to be finished, but I would like to know. United Water was kind of rehired or continued to be hired because we were at loss of what else to do. We were not prepared suddenly, but the time is going, and so we should be prepared now. What is going on there? Or we are just, again, when the year has gone by, standing there at the same position. So I want to hear about that. We paid Mr. Lurch, the city did, $50,000 to make an assessment what can be done, and so that $50,000 has to do some work for us. I would like to know, are we in the position not to seek transitional aid? Please get a response to that. Now, I would like you to respond. Mr. Feld has mentioned, and it is coming up over and over, that owned monies appear, for example, SCAFAR, and here there's this state requirement for $500,000. Please discuss it, ask how these things can happen, especially this new issue, and we want to hear it. Additionally, I am going to go back. I am sorry to have to go back. The issue of the Oprah letter that I sent to you. Here we go again, something that has to be repeated. I asked about it. You, Council President, said that you are thinking of it and working on it. I don't see what I am talking about my second letter, where I pointed out that I was again misinformed as an Oprah in response to my Oprah request. And that is not something, I don't see what is there to think about. I asked you in that letter to confirm that you received it, and I asked you to discuss it with the custodian of record, and I simply want to know if you have done it. These are my questions. Thank you.
Ashley Cartwright.
Hi, good evening. Ashley Cartwright, 421 Lincoln Avenue, here in the city of Orange. We may not be able to talk about it, but ordinance 11-2015, I just want to say that I just have a lot of questions and concerns regarding that. 2015, are we allowed to speak on that tonight, or?
No, you can speak.
We don't speak? Okay. My concern is, well, my question is it more so of people not cleaning after their pets, or is it the number of animals that they have? My concern is for the people who look at their pets as family members, and if you were to implement this, what's going to happen to their family members?
Okay, I'll come back. Okay.
Okay.
What did you say? If you were to implement it, what's
going to happen if they have? If they have more than two,
so what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Or if their current dog has puppies and they would like to keep their puppies, what's going to happen? To them. The police cars. My question is there another way we could go about, like another list for those cars for the safety of the officers? Is there any way we could if y'all could just discuss that in a closed session or something? Because I would hate for someone to get that list and then there's an officer doing his job and look at that and say, he'll become a target. I would also like to thank Acting Director Kenneth Douglas for a job well done. That was my apartment building that was on fire due to my super's negligence. So, let's say that. So they were on the scene, they were there, he was ready to go with his sweat sign. Job well done, and that's it. Have a good night.
Motion to close citizens' comments.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson, second by Councilwoman Gaunt Butler. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Closed. Going back over the questions, starting right from our last, the police cars, Ms. Cartwright, I don't know if you heard, Councilwoman Easton chimed in immediately, and she sort of put impromptu policy, in terms of safety. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more. But Councilman Corbett will probably follow up as well. But it was immediately stated that we will figure out a better way to do that in terms of the police cars. Councilwoman Easton, 11-2015. Are you just going to note the concern? Did you want to respond in terms of what would happen if it was implemented and a person had 3 dogs? What would happen to that if they had puppies?
I thought even under the current ordinance that if it states that they can have no more than 3, so even if the dog has puppies, they can't keep no more than 3 dogs. So they have to, and most of the times when people breed dogs, and I think they're gonna address that in the ordinance when it comes back. If they more than breed dogs for purposes, they either gonna sell them or they're gonna give them to friends. So I don't think anybody has a litter of 8 or 9 puppies and they keep all 8 or 9 in today's current environment. So they're gonna address that in the ordinance.
That's it, Councilwoman? Okay. Moving on to Ms. Gordon. Ms. Gordon, the letter, if you're referring to December 5th, the letter did come into the clerk's office. It was put in all the clerks, all the council members' box.
Councilwoman Reese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reese. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Reese, I thought the letter that she is talking about that came to Jack Kelly was certified. And
I'm talking about Ms. Gordon's Oprah letter to the council.
Oh, you're not talking about the other one?
No.
Okay, when you get there, I'll explain it.
No. Okay.
Cracking up right now. Okay. She's like,
so the December 5th letter for Oprah, it did come into the clerk's office. It was put in every council member's box. Tia Thomas, who has been assigned, who handles the Oprah, her and I are having an ongoing conversation in terms of process and procedures. And we had one conversation, and I have to pick it up and follow up in terms of the process in which she does Oprah. So it is ongoing in terms of the process and procedure. Transitional aid. Mr. Mapp, are we applying for transitional aid?
That's a discussion that I will have with the mayor. We have not since I've been here.
Okay. Mr. Mobley, can you come to the mic?
Council President, just when is the cutoff for that application for the transitional aid? Do you know, Mr. Mapp?
No, I do not, but I can get the answer.
Mr. Mobley, regarding United Water contract, we did enter into a 1-year contract, and we were going to see how we were going to move forward. Or do you have any response in terms of what we're doing in preparation for going forward?
My understanding is that the contract was forwarded to the Deputy Business Administrator's office for review. My understanding is that it is still under review. It has not been executed.
Okay. Thank you. Regarding Mr. And I will say that if it's still in the hands of the administration, Mr. Mobley really is not at liberty to talk about the terms of their contract until it is presented before this council. Regarding hiring a mechanic, I think it's a great suggestion. If you talk to Mr. Mays about it, we will wait to hear from Mr. Mays in terms of is he looking into that. And Mr. Matt, can you just take that down as a note as well, that there was a suggestion that we're spending a lot on parts and then another contract in terms of the service. Have we looked in terms of comparison costs, would it be better for us to have an in-house mechanic as opposed to outsourcing? Just a second. In terms of outsourcing that service, and we can just follow up at the next meeting, or have Mr. Mays, or you can send him.
You talk about two different issues. The parts has nothing to do with the mechanic that Mr. Mays.
I said both. I said the
but
parts.
I'm saying, Mr. Mays has already stated to the Public Works Committee, he's putting that in his budget. So when we do the budget, he's requested that mechanic. So that we really don't need to address, because he's putting it in his budget to hire a mechanic.
Well, I asked Mr. Mapp if he could respond to the public council.
Public Works.
Regarding the budget process, there was a comment, Director Mapp, in terms of the budget. The due date was due for today for it to be presented before the council. Did you want to, can you respond to that in terms of being late and where you are with the process?
The statement by the speaker was factually inaccurate, false, and...
Mr. Feld, please, Mr. Mapp did not yell out when you were speaking. Please allow him to respond. Mr. Mapp?
The date for the introduction of the budget has been extended by the Division of Local Government Services to March the 13th.
And,
The original due date was February 10th, and all dates have been extended.
and where are we at in the budget process? Does it look like we're going to meet the extended date?
That is certainly the goal that we have.
I'm sorry, you said yes?
That is the goal that we have.
That's the goal, okay.
I should also let you know, just for information purposes, that our CFO has been, she's been under the weather,
Yes.
quite a bit.
I'm aware, yeah. Mr. Matt, there were several questions about the payroll person, and are you willing to say who the payroll person is for the city? I'm sorry. Yeah.
The payroll person for the city, her name is Takesha Edwards. It is my policy never to discuss the names of employees at council meetings.
Takesha Edwards?
Knight.
Yeah, okay, you said Edwards.
I'm sorry.
Takesha, you married to say Takesha Knight?
Knight.
Takesha Knight, okay. Mr. Feld also made mention of a letter that was addressed to Jack Kelly that went to Bill Lewis's address. And are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, did you want to, and what the amount was, did you want to say anything to it?
The letter that went to the former council person went to several other people over the past couple of years since I arrived here in Orange. And if you would recall, the administration brought to the attention of the governing body bills for unemployment that total over $1 million that were pre this administration. As a result of that, we had lengthy discussions with the governing body as well as with the state, and we entered into a payment plan with the state of New Jersey, the Department of Labor. And we have been paying down that bill ever since. In 2013, we paid a total of $259,500. In 2014, we paid $312,000 against that obligation, which leaves roughly $550,000+ still outstanding, and we will continue to pay that under the terms of the installment agreement that we've made with the state. As to why individuals no longer connected to the city of Orange are receiving these letters, I do not have an explanation for that. However, we have spoken with the state, and we will be sent information on how to attempt to remove those names from the records.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Was that the area you wanted to chime in on? Mm-hmm. And did you still want to chime in, or are you?
No, he explained it.
Okay. The annual debt statement was delivered to the clerk's office on February 10th, 2015, and it has been distributed to the council. We will follow up. Director Matt, are you familiar with the executive summary regarding the Oakland Towers?
No, I'm not.
Okay, can you talk to Director Mays about that and follow up? Also, I believe that would be, that's it. That's it. Going on to council comments. You have no council comments?
I have council comments.
Councilwoman Johnson.
And I'm going to be fast, too. Okay. Okay. So on March 11th, I'll be having my next South Ward community meeting, and I'm excited to have Acting Fire Director Douglas there. As you see with all the recent fires, we definitely need to have a conversation about prevention, and it'll also give him an opportunity to introduce himself to the residents of the South Ward. I also have Vinny and Stephanie from the health department. They're going to come and discuss some health concerns for the first part. And then the last part of the meeting, we'll discuss challenges and concerns of the South Ward residents. This is our third meeting.
it's just an hour, just another opportunity to bring the government to the different wards. And we'll continue to have the Girl Scout troop of St. Matthew's Church selling baked goods. So I hope Vinny doesn't get mad. I hope he's not talking about any type of sugar, because there'll definitely be enough of that. And let me also announce that the History of Blacks in Film will be this Saturday at the Orange Public Library at 5:30. And this is sponsored by Mayor Dwayne Warren and the Municipal Council and the Orange Public Library. Again, that's Saturday, February 21st at 5:30 at the library, and it's the History of Blacks in Film. And the South Ward meeting is May 11th from 6 to 7, and I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you. Are there no other comments?
No, I have comments.
Councilwoman Butler?
Yes. Okay, so I just have a couple of quick questions. My first question is Ordinance 4-2015, and I guess this is to the administration. What budget year is that funding coming out of? Is it 2015 or 2014?
Mr. Matt?
The Capital Improvement Fund is a fund that accumulates based on the appropriation that is in the budget each year. And so it is not coming from any specific budget year. It is coming from the balance that is in the fund based on appropriations that funded the Capital Improvement Fund over the years. And this amount, the CFO represented that we do have this amount in the fund.
Okay, so my question is, so you just said it's a cumulative fund, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and so it was there in December, this amount, $102,000.
At least that would have to have been there at December.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. My other question is with regards to the auto parts, that ordinance, Smith Boring.
49.
Yes, thank you. 49. My question with regards to that is that $150,000 commensurate with last year's funding of auto parts?
In terms of that item, I must tell you that that was based on a publicly advertised bid, and this contract is being awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. And in terms of what might be the comparison between this and last year, I don't know, but this is being awarded under the local public contracts law, which must be, in a public bid, be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder.
And I'm okay with that, but my question is, because we have just really replenished our fleet, I'm not sure if we're going to need that much money supporting that particular effort if we have a lot of new cars.
I can't answer that question.
Right, so that was my question. What's the rationale for this funding? My next question has to do with, or it's more of a statement, Millennium, that's our grant funding or grant writing agency, correct?
That's our grant consultant.
Yes. So I wanted to know if we can get an update from Millennium with regards to how many grants that they acquired last year and what projects they supported.
We can certainly arrange that.
Okay. And then my last question has to do with Resolution 55-2015, canceling the summer food 2013 and 14 grants receivable. Just explain that for me.
What this is some house cleaning based on the need for us to stay on top of our grants. If you recall, a couple of meetings ago, we prepared a resolution that came before you to cancel, I believe it was well over $1 million of grants that were on the books for the last 10 or 15 years. This is simply our way of staying on top of the grants. And so once the grant was reconciled and closed out, we have an obligation to close out that grant, any appropriations against the revenues. And this is basically just house cleaning and staying on top of grants. And we would hope to be in a position to do this going forward.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Council President.
Councilman Corbett.
Mr. Mapp, what happened to Mr. Mays tonight? Why is he not here? Would you know?
Let me address that. Mr. Mays called in sick.
Okay. In our last council meeting, Mr. Mapp, which was the 3rd, Mr. Mays indicated that there was going to be a very important meeting surrounding the vehicles that are owned by the city. By any chance, were you a part of those meetings?
No, I have not been.
Okay, well now I'll follow up with him with regards to the decals and the municipal plates on all city-owned vehicles. Mr. Harris, you know, it's already been stated here tonight, the great job that Mr. Ken Garrett did for us, the city, as the liaison to the county. He did an excellent job for us, and I was wondering if you could prepare a resolution that we might be able to honor and recognize Mr. Ken Garrett for the exceptional work that he did for the city of Orange.
Councilman, good evening. Council members, good evening. Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. That ordinance, that resolution, in part, yes, was also requested by the council president. Council President Williams did provide me with some information to prepare same, but I was unable to download it on, she sent it to me via text on the phone. I was unable to download it. I will be speaking directly with Mr. Garrett to obtain information necessary for the resolution from him.
I was wondering if you can also extend, if possible, yourself to our county exec, Mr. Joe DiVincenzo, see if he might have a quote that he might want to include in that resolution, recognizing the exceptional job that Mr. Garrett did also.
I shall do that, Councilor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With regards to Ordinance 4/2015, the plan for to improve the park, improvements to the basketball court, but not limited to site clearing, demolition, and removal of existing retaining wall, resurfacing of the basketball court, stripping, installation of new bleachers, rims, nets, and benches, and the installation of a new retaining wall. Central Playground is going to be the park for the city of Orange. When you look at the baseball field, the miniature football field, what is the plan for maintaining that park? Is there a plan with all the money that we're spending for this park?
Maintenance plan.
I am not in a position to speak to a maintenance plan. I think that would be better handled by Mr. Mays.
Okay. And finally, with regards to that same ordinance, like I said, Central Playground is going to be the park. And last summer, it was the park. You know, I hung out practically every night there myself. Only problem I had, you know, and I'm saying this now because with all the beautification and all the upgrading that we're doing to the playground, we got to come up with a plan to upgrade, reducing the drug activity in that park. That has to be addressed. Why beautify that park and have the same activity going on inside the park? The weed that is being smoked, that is being inhaled. Like I said one time before, I left that playground, one of the worst headaches that I ever had. One of the worst headaches that I've had in a long time. But that was because I was sitting there inhaling, you know, that stuff that they smoke. It wasn't good. So I really, seriously, I would like to see a plan in place to stop that activity in the park, especially with all the beautification that we're doing. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman Neeson.
Yeah, might be.
To Councilman Corbett, I will take that to Mr. Mays during the Public Works Committee meeting on Thursday and ask him for the next council meeting if he can come with the plan for the maintenance of that park. One of the things, I don't know, did any of you read the transcript this week? Before I get to Councilwoman Butler?
Yes.
Could you get, I think we should also do a recognition for Ms. Cottingham. Can you get the information? Maybe we can sponsor a resolution to honor her and have the family come and in our next council meeting or the one following. But also in the transcript this week, it addressed something that we had talked about some months ago as it related to 340 Thomas Boulevard. bill requirement plan for the notification of next of kin when somebody dies in a senior building, A363630. And what they're asking is part of that. It passed on February the 5th. The new process and procedures is that each municipality should come up with their own ordinance or resolution that's really for that city. So I'm going to ask our attorney and Mr. Harris to get with the Housing Authority so that we can pass some legislation that can be supported, so that we can be on board in making sure that what happened at 340 never happens in another senior building, as far as somebody dying and the next of kin gets notified 6 days later. So they laid it out in the transcript, so I think that's something that we want to get ahead of. Also, real quickly, we talked about the fires that's happening in the city, and I don't know if there's anything we can legislate as it relates to candle burning and incense burning in apartments, and making sure that, I don't know if there's something, maybe a fine should be issued to make people aware that they can't, educate them and make sure they know that they can't do these things and it needs to be monitored. I don't know how we get a handle around that. So, Mr. Harris, can you look in to see if there's anything we can legislate as far as that is concerned? And our senior buildings, I know 400 Oakwood and 98 High Street is having problems with heat. The seniors are cold. I don't know what we can do as a body to make sure that the heating in those buildings are up to par. I know Councilman Abdul Rashid sponsored something some years back as to what the temperature should be in apartments. So I think we should take a look to see if we can, as the council and the body, I'm working on 98 High Street right now, but I think we need to make sure it's consistent through all buildings so that whatever applies to 98 applies to 400, 300, and 268. Because for some reason, excuse me, this has been the coldest year that we've had, the coldest. And the boilers are old, and the heat is not going up into the apartments. And my concern is the building management is giving space heaters to the residents. Now we know with old electricity, as long as those buildings has been there, we can't, if you overpower the electric system, the heater's gonna shut down and catch on fire. So I think we need to take a look at that as a body to see what we can come up with to somehow monitor, and I don't know how we could make sure we get the state involved. I will talk to Marty Mays, our Public Works Director, to see what he can do. The fire department is doing their part. They have been there, they have looked at the building. In my building today, they did the safety initiative to educate the residents on how to handle the space heater. Do not use your stove or the eyes on your stove to heat your apartments, because that is not safe, and that they should cut the space heaters off at night when they leave during the day and when they're not in the same room with it, and make sure it's secure and not near anything that's flammable. And I think they recommended, instead of the ones that has the, what is that, the flame or the fire, that they use the one that blows out the heat. The heat blowing space heaters.
The space heaters, or when you tell them that Director Douglas just referred to?
Yeah, but they don't want you them to have the ones that has like the wire mesh in front. Right. They want the ones that just blow out hot air. Hot air, that's what I'm looking for. So I think that as we as council think about it, maybe at the next meeting, we can discuss some ways that we can monitor and legislate some of those things so that going forward, we don't have our residents cold and trying to figure out how they're going to stay warm during the winter. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Council President, as we were talking about Central Avenue, I think we another area that we did something with the kids' area playground. I think that was in the bond ordinance. Doing something, but there's, I don't, unless I missed it, there's no talk about refurbishing the tennis courts. Why is the city piecemealing the central playground thing, and the tennis court should be an integral part of any type of rehab.
Mr. Mobley, you want to take that under advisement, or can you respond to that?
You know, I also had that same thought. Well, maybe not the same thought, but I play tennis. And I was over at the park a few weeks ago when there was a water leak. And I looked at the tennis courts and I said, we need to find some money to fix the tennis courts as well. When you look at the playground and we realize the cost to really fix up the playground the way it ought to be for the kids and for anyone who wants to use it, it's an expensive proposition. And I think that you could do it in one of two ways. If you have all of the money, you do everything at once. If not, and sometimes more realistic, we have to wait until we can get the money. I would hope that if we're talking to Millennium, that we're asking Millennium to look around and see if there is grant money for playgrounds. I'm certainly, as when someone brought that up earlier about Millennium, Councilwoman April Butler, I believe, asked about Millennium. I would ask if there is money for playground funding and if that's something that they're applying for, so that we can look at that. But I agree with you that we need to look at how we can address the tennis courts next. Thank you.
Councilman Weed.
Yes, Councilman.
Just as a heads up, I had that conversation with Mr. Mays today. That's going to be the next phase. He's doing it in phases. The basketball courts he needs for the summer programs. The next phase of it will be where the kids play and moving that equipment that the workout area for the grown-ups away from the children. And then so he's doing it because of the money and how he gets it and where it comes from. He's doing it in phases. So that's the next phase of his renovation of Central Playground. Like Councilman Corbett said, that's going to be the premier playground in the city of Orange. Yes. So that will be the next phase of it.
Hopefully it won't be smelling like skunk.
You know. Smelling like what?
Skunk.
Why?
That's what weed smell like, skunk.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not exposed to it.
You need to get out. You need to come outside more often.
That's right. Done about that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm moving away from it.
Councilman Johnson, that's right.
Get it.
Councilman Coley? Nothing?
Yeah, you know, Council President, my whole thing is getting this budget on track, and we haven't received we haven't received the budget yet from the administration, which is should be up and coming real soon. And also this transitional aid issue. I'm looking here online as we speak right now. The deadline for the application, or the intent to apply, was today. And Mr. Matt, you are the finance director. I guess you provide guidance to the administration for finance. And my question, did we receive transitional aid last year?
We haven't received transitional aid since I was here. We have not applied, and there was no discussion about applying.
Okay. Is there any reason why we have not had that discussion? Well, not we, but the administration?
I can't tell you why the administration as a whole might not have applied. I can give you my personal opinion why I wouldn't apply.
Why you would not apply, you said? Can I hear that opinion, sir?
Too many strings attached, your hands are tied.
Councilman,
Please.
the reason Mr. Mayor, the reason we haven't applied is because when we went through the transition from a fiscal year to an annual, we were not allowed to apply for some years after that. That's why we haven't applied. That was part of the stipulation when we changed from fiscal to an annual year. The stipulation was that if we did that because we were gaining some extra money by doing that, we could not apply for the aid. That's why we haven't applied. I don't know if that stipulation has run out, which is what probably you need to check into, so that we can go back to applying. Because prior to years before we did that, we did get the aid. But that was the reason we haven't applied.
That may be true, Councillor Eason. I wasn't here then, but I can tell you that the controls over transitional aid are so stringent that a majority of municipalities who qualify to apply, they don't apply.
We have applied every year until we changed. So I don't know what has changed, and I think that's
A lot has changed since then, Councillor Eason.
But could you find out and come to us with the report as to what you think is the reason why we wouldn't apply if we really need it, and it would help us with our budget and our taxes?
I'll leave that to the mayor.
To whom?
To the mayor.
To the mayor.
All right, I will talk to him tomorrow.
My next question is, if this municipality was successful at receiving that transitional aid, about how much would that have been, or could it be?
There's no way of knowing that.
Would it be $1,000 or?
I'm not going to guess.
Okay. Well, do we know what that number was in the past, Councilwoman Eason?
I think the last time we got it, it was like $900 and something thousand. We didn't get $1 million, but we got between $800,000 and $900,000. So, but I will talk to the mayor tomorrow to see if that stipulation has run out or that restriction. If not, then we can apply for it. Because I don't think the restrictions are so stringent that we couldn't abide by them.
Well,
That's
can
something
we
need to find out.
Can we ask Attorney Smith? He's sitting right here. Do you know anything about those restrictions, Attorney Smith?
Well, Councilman Cole, was the last time that we had to, was that Councilwoman East when we had to do the agreement, and that's when if you accepted the monies, that was, and we had to do, I'm sorry, what's the agreement called? Memorandum of
There's right.
The memorandum, and we had to do I'm sorry, what was the memorandum?
No, it had to do with the
MOU. So last time we received aid.
It had to do with the transition that we made from July the 1st to January the 1st.
No, not when we did the MOU, because I think the last time we did.
I don't think that had anything to do with it.
I'm saying the last time we did it, I believe Mr.
You mean
Nate,
that we had a memorandum of understanding? Yes.
and it was for us accepting funds from state. It was when Mr. Mason was sitting there. We had to do an MOU for the year. Sure. The transition from a fiscal to a calendar year reaps you, and Mr. Mapp, it reaps you extra within that period, right. But that's just because you're transitioning.
That is correct. All municipalities who transition from a fiscal year to a calendar year, because of the way the transition was structured, you were able to generate a significant amount of surplus. So municipalities that might have relied on transitional aid in the past might not have had a need to do so. But that notwithstanding, my position on why I give my opinion, would not apply for transitional aid still stands.
Council President, I'm not trying to just beat a dead horse here, but what are some of the negatives for a municipality accepting transitional aid?
That would depend on the memorandum of understanding, which must be signed, and there are a significant number of restrictions that are imposed upon you. And my personal opinion is that your hands are tied, and that's not something that a municipality or most municipalities would want to have happen.
Mr. Matt, what the most recent that we can see, I believe Newark just received aid, and that was a Newark Star Ledger article. You can see the different restrictions that was put in them. One was for local, the hiring had to go to the state of those. Did you hear that, Councilman Coley? There is one that was just in the Star Ledger. Newark received a substantial amount of aid from the state, and it stated in the Star Ledger article, different stipulations for them receiving that aid. One off the top of my head that I can remember is that they cannot do any hiring unless they get approval from the state. But if you went to Newark Star Ledger and you put Newark receiving aid from the state, you'll see the restrictions that was put on Newark, and that was just probably 3 or 4 months ago. That was in the paper.
They got a state overseer assigned to Newark.
That's what I'm saying. There was a whole lot of stipulations
for
right.
Newark.
So you can see that would be an example.
All right,
A
thank you.
recent example. No more.
Hold on, one last question. And that MOU is only just for that year?
It may depend. I think that one, if I can remember, the Newark's actually is for several years. It could be until they pay it. I'm not sure.
I am not sure. I've not read that, but it all depends on the arrangement, because sometimes one of the conditions that's imposed upon you is that you can't hire without approval. You can't award professional service contracts without approval. It could be any number of things that could be imposed upon you. So there's no template that tells you this is exactly what will happen.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, council members. Councilman Coley, I'm going to take the liberty of just making the council aware that Ms. Coleman from Hampton Terrace passed, and the funeral was today.
Yes.
Did you want to just, okay, you want to?
I don't, me personally, I don't like to discuss,
Okay. Ms. Coleman, she was a daughter, Candace Coleman was also a teacher in Orange. Ms. Coleman as well served in Orange and East Orange with the boards. Husband and wife, they're very active, so she went on to glory, and her funeral was held today at Bethany. And if you know, they're very active, and the family's very active in the community, so if you know them, it would be nice if you reach out to them. Regarding, Councilwoman Easton brought up some concerns about heat. I would like to take the opportunity to thank employees from the Code Enforcement Department, and that would be Kafani Allen and Sandra Barrera, in terms of the calls they've been receiving and helping out and being very responsive, and to calls that have come, I'm sure, to them, to us, to council members, and just helping our constituents get service and to reach some type of a resolution in terms of not being out with heat, and this is a very busy time for them. Mr. Mobley and Mr. Matt, if y'all can both take down a number. I know that I keep getting concerns regarding the heat hotline that's posted. It's not working. You know, it goes into a never ring. It's just ring, ring, ring. There's various problems. It may work better when it's 9 to 5, but during the weekends or at night after City Hall business hours, sometimes it's very hard for people to respond to get help with the heat hotline. I will tell residents that if you do have an emergency and you can't get anybody on that line, I know when they're on call, sometimes they give out their individual numbers, but it may, I find it helpful to reach out to either the police department or the fire department, because they do have the numbers to get in contact with Public Works, and who can get you into getting some help as well if you have to go through the heat hotline and it doesn't work. With that, clerk, let's move the agenda.
Okay, we have ordinances on second reading. Ordinance was tabled from 2/7/2014.
It's not ready yet.
All right. Ordinance?
Not ready. Go ahead.
Okay. Ordinance introduction for the first reading. 4-2015, capital ordinance appropriating $102,000 for the capital improvement fund to pay for improvements to the basketball courts at Central Avenue Park in and by the city. and by the city of the County of Essex, State of New Jersey.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Butler. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Butler?
In favor.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes. 7 yeses, 0 noes.
And we will state the public hearing for all of the first readings at the end. Council members, I'm sorry, before we move forward with the first readings, Councilwoman Butler, you stated that you may remove some of these for first reading. Are you going to leave them all on, or are you going to remove any?
No, I'm going to withdraw 9, 10, 12, and 13.
9, 10,
12 and 13.
9,
10, 12,
12, and 13 will be removed, and we'll come back after you make necessary. Councilwoman Easton, are we moving 11?
We didn't get the resolutions yet, did we?
We're doing ordinance.
Ordinance, that's ordinance. 11?
Yes, we removed 11.
Okay. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are being removed. Moving on, and
We have ordinance 5-20-15, an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Orange Township, chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, section 200-52-1, handicap parking space 206 North Center Street.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Johnson. They both said the same time.
Ladies before gentlemen.
Motion by Councilman Johnson. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Coley?
In favor.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Butler?
in favor.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Council President
Yes.
Williams? Motion passes. 6-2015, an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Orange Township, chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, section 200-52-1, handicap parking space, 162 Summer Street, East Side.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Johnson. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Butler?
In favor.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance 7-20-15, an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Orange Township, chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, section 200-52-1, handicap parking space, 765 Valley Street, apartment number 34, South Side.
Motion to adopt on first reading.
Motion by Councilman Corbett,
Second.
second by Councilman Johnson. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Butler?
In favor.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance 8-2015, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Municipal Code of the City of Orange Township, entitled Administration of Government, amending to the duties of the office of the city clerk, sponsored by Council Member April Butler.
Motion to adopt on first reading.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second.
Second.
Second
On the
by
motion.
I'm sorry?
Oh, after you second, I said on the motion.
Okay.
I didn't know you didn't get there, so I'm waiting.
Second by Councilman Johnson. On the motion, Councilwoman Butler.
Yes. So I just wanted to encourage my council colleagues to support this ordinance. Essentially, it's saying that with regards to the deputy clerk in the clerk's office, that the governing body would actually have to approve that position. And that's essentially what it says. So I hope that you'll support it. Thank you.
I didn't hear you, Council. The council would have to, I didn't hear you.
Approve that position.
The clerk-
Deputy.
The deputy clerk?
Deputy.
Okay.
Roll call.
That's it. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question, Council President. Can someone explain to me what's the difference between a municipal corporation and the municipal governing body? Or is it all the same?
Different.
Mr. Attorney Smith? You got to talk into the mic, Mr. Smith.
The formation, and whether it's a Faulkner type government or not.
I didn't understand nothing what you just said.
The formation, basically, it's the formation of the entity, whether it's a corporation, as a municipal corporation or not.
So I didn't highlight it, but when I was reading this resolution, I checked this ordinance.
What area you want? Can you say what letter?
Well, this ordinance, somewhere in there, I didn't highlight it, but we have language in here somewhere.
Number 5.
Number 8. That
1, 2, 3, 4,
municipal
5, 6,
corporation and municipal governing body.
So you're reading what's in the state statute? What are you reading? Are you reading what's in front of you?
I didn't highlight it. Let me find it again. Hold on.
You can go to the mic. Mr.
Good evening, members of council. Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. Councilman Coley, the municipal corporation refers to the municipality itself, the city of Orange, the city government that makes up the city of Orange Township, whereas the municipal governing body is this entity that you sit on, the city council of the city.
Okay.
So that's essentially the difference between the two. The municipal corporation is the city itself, whereas you are the municipal governing body.
That I know, that part I know, but I'm just making sure that I didn't know for sure about the municipal corporation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley?
In favor?
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gordon Butler?
In favor.
And I am in favor as well. Okay. We'll deal with it later. So the rest of them, so
They're
now
all
you...
gone anyway, yeah.
Yeah? Consent agenda.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda.
Council members, are there any items that you would like to remove for a separate vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gordon Butler?
49, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
53, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
What was the first one you called?
49 and 53. 49 and 53 have been removed for a separate vote. Are there any other items? If not, clerk, let's move forward with the consent agenda. You ready?
Resolutions 46-2015, 47-2015, 48-2015, 50-2015, 51-2015, 52-2015, 54-2015, 55-2015.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda. Now we're back to 49. Go ahead.
All right. Resolution 49-2015, a resolution awarding a contract to the Smith Boring Auto Parts, Inc., 10 Elm Street, Montclair, New Jersey, 07042, the purchase of automotive parts for 1 year commencing March 1st, 2015 through February 29th, 2016. in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson, second by Councilwoman Easton. On the motion,
49-2015.
seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley,
No.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Easton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
No.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler.
Not in favor.
I am in favor. Do you read the count back? I'm sorry.
It passes.
Yes. Council,
It's
Can we,
4-3.
you got Mike's pick up.
Council, yeah, it was
It's
4-3.
4-3.
Okay, 4 yeas.
4 yeas and 3 nays.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Moving on to 53-2015.
A resolution approving the bill list for the council meeting vote on February 17, 2015, dated February 13, 2015, and approving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with Ordinance 2-95 for the grand total of $5,200,855.79.
Move.
Moved by Councilman
Second.
Corbett, second by Councilwoman Easton. On the motion. Seeing no roll call, Councilman Coley.
I have a question here.
Going back to, we can go back to on the
This
motion.
is-
Nobody voted.
And this is 53,
We're
correct?
going back to on the motion.
Last meeting, I requested the backup for MBD Strategies, that amount for $3,000,
Right.
and we never got it, and I see that it's going to bill us again. Can we just pull that, please? Until I get
What page
the
are you
back?
on, Councilman Coley?
That's page 1.
Page 1. and
Second item on page 1.
An amount of 3,000, that is correct. Councilmember, that's a continue. We did ask that, so we're gonna move the 3,000 for the public relations. We had asked for an accounting and, the backup, and we have not received it.
That would bring the grand total to $5,201,555.79. It's just 3,000 straight.
And you said how much?
$5,201,555.79.
It's 3,000.
Right. 8
No,
minus
sorry,
3
you're
would
taking-
be 5.
2,001.
Oh, it's 3.
3,000.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That should,
82579.
yeah, $5,188,500. Did I get that right? Just say as amended, I can't.
As amended, I'll get you a price tomorrow.
I'm sorry. It's like 1,800. Okay. As amended, removing the MBD strategies.
Council President, are we still on the motion?
Yes. Go ahead.
My inquiry about the Volkswagen has been satisfied by the police liaison, so I look forward to that conclusion on that. But also on this bill, several of my customers appear on this to be paid, so I will be abstaining.
Okay.
$5,198,855.79.
Is the amended amount. So as amended, Councilman Coley,
In favor?
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler,
Not in favor.
Councilman Johnson,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
In favor.
and I am in favor as well.
Motion passes.
For the public, the ordinances that were on first reading, the public hearing will be on March 17th, 2015, March 17th, 2015, and a continuation for the table matter will be at the next meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, and second by the council.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We adjourn at
9:50.